All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for jumping in. I Today is going to be a little bit like it is going to be business planning, but my business planning is a little bit different. I want to talk to you about business from a point of view of what do you need to do to make your first 100 grand in real estate. If you're not making $100,000 a year, you're probably not going to last. I'm just going to be real honest with you. You got to be making, you know, 100, $200,000 in real estate, but there is a process that goes through to do that. And so I do think or I know that folks that have a plan to get there tend to be much more likely to actually get there. And so, what I want to talk to you about is what do you need to do in order to hit that first 100 grand? And so, I'm going to go through a list of things and then we're going to jump into the actual plan as well. So, first thing is that you have to own your mornings. It doesn't have to be, I'm not saying you got to be the 5 a.m.er kind of stuff, but you do have to get up and get moving, right? This would be something that is repeatable. You got to get off your butt and get moving. Motion drives clarity, and you've got to have some motion. You've got to get up, get dressed for work. When you get up and get dressed, you actually go into work and get stuff done. Now, even if you're staying in your own home office, um, part of this owning the mornings thing is like when you treat your business like a business, it will make dramatic changes to your business. If you're treating like your business like a hobby, then you're going to get paid like a hobby. That's really the bottom line here. So like it starts with owning your mornings. Like you should plan your morning the night before. And again, I'm not saying you got to be one of these 4 a.m., 5 a.m. kind of stuff, but you got to get up, get off your butt, get moving, get a walk, those kind of things, get some kind of motion going in, get dressed up, and get going into work. The second one is going to be what is your environment, right? What like when I say go to work, where are you going to work at? Now, some of us are folks that need to get into the office. Like I'm one that is an office person. I get up and I need to go to the office, generally speaking. I do have a home office. I work there some, but what I find is that I am way more productive when I actually have to go to an office. Because for a lot of us, we try and work in places that are not good for us to work. We try and work from our kitchen table or from the coffee table. And those are places where those aren't set up for work. You need a place that when you sit down there, that's where you go to work. It's not a place where you hang out, that kind of stuff. So, what is your office environment? Because if your office environment is this desk that you never sit at that has about an inch of dust on it, that's not a place where you go to work. And so, when you get up, you get your butt in gear, and then you go to whatever office it is, whether it could be a card table in the corner of a room. But that is your office. That's the place where you go there. When you go there, you're getting down to work. Um, the next point that you really got to start mastering if you want to be making at least 100 grand a year, you have to know your market. Know your market and the MLS. And that means that you need to be in your MLS every single day. The MLS should be your like your home screen. When you open up either Chrome, whatever, it needs to go to the MLS. You should be in there. You should know what's happening with days on market, what properties are coming on the market, what's selling, what isn't selling, what are the price points doing. Like all those kind of things happen because you are in your market. The reason that Zillow couldn't buy and sell homes is because they didn't know the market. They had a lot of data, but they didn't know the market. This is a distinct advantage for you that will come out to play when you really start engaging with your clients more. The other thing you got to be ready for is you got to start making market tours. You got to get out. I know a lot of real estate folks like we like to work from home, and I get that, but then we don't actually get out and do anything. So like you need to be getting out at least weekly, preferably 3 days a week, right? Where you're going on open houses, new construction, broker open tours, all these kind of things when you're going out on your appointments and that kind of stuff. And when you go out, make a video. Make a video of everything that you're doing because that is all fodder that you're going to need. One of the big thing that is probably one of the most important things if you're going to really be a high producing realtor is that you have to lead with the appointment. Lead and end with the appointment, right? Appointment first, everything else later. Like everything starts with the appointment. See, trust is built face to face. That's where it comes down to. And this idea of I'll text, I'll email, that kind of stuff, that works up to a certain point, but real trust comes from face to face. And so we have to get face to face. So whenever we're talking to anybody, when can we meet? Can you meet me here? Can you come to the office? I'll meet you at Chick-fil-A. Let's go to the house. All these kind of things. Appointments, appointments, appointments. More appointments, more transactions. That's really the bottom line. If you're making your client beg you to meet with you, you got this thing all out of whack. Next big step here is, what does your schedule look like? And I know that this is a dirty word for a lot of us, right? A lot of us, a schedule, like, ooh, a schedule. I got into real estate, so I wouldn't have a damn schedule. I get that, but that's not, if you want to be successful in our business, the idea of this really passive schedule is not realistic. If that's what your true goals are, if your goal is to like I just want to kind of play in real estate, well, then you're going to have results that look that way. But if you are truly like I need to make $200,000 a year in real estate, then you are going to have a schedule. It requires that. Now I know we don't like schedules. I get that. But if you're going to have one of two schedules, you're either going to have a business owner schedule or you won't, right? You own a business. You are a small business person. And that comes with its own set of challenges and focus. You're going to have a business owner schedule, but if you don't have a business owner schedule, you are not going to get a business owner's result. You're not going to get the kind of return that you want. So you have to prioritize your revenue producing activities, and we're going to talk about that next, right? Um, we do need admin, but remember, admin doesn't get you paid. Nobody pays you to do admin. Admin's just crap you got to do. So we need to be focusing on those big revenue producing tasks. And that's really going to come from the fact that we are like we are working on prospecting. So prospecting has to be like one of the biggest things that you build into your schedule. If there's one thing that stands out from the consistent top producers, when we would, like back in the day, if we didn't list 80, I mean, sell 80 to 100 homes a year, it was a pretty crappy year. And that happened because we weren't prospecting, because we weren't at least an hour a day making phone calls, engaging inside our sphere, right? And so if you're broke, if you're not hitting what you need to do, you should be doing this for 2 hours a day. Once you get us up to a system and a process, you can do it for an hour a day. But right now, if you're not making over $100,000 a year, then why are you not doing 2 hours of prospecting? Now, prospecting, let me be clear, this is not about cold calling. I'm not talking about cold calling at all. I'm talking about realizing that conversations equals transactions. The more conversations that you have, the more transactions you will have, right? Calling people you know, calling people that know you, calling anyone that visits your website, calling any of the lead systems that you're currently utilizing, calling, engaging, following up. Again, at least an hour a day, but preferably, and unless you're hitting over 100 grand a year, you should be doing this for 2 hours a day. Now, nowhere in here am I talking about cold calling, right? 80% of our business comes from people that know us and people that we know. And so a lot of times, a lot of realtors will be like, well, why do I want to call these people? They already know me. Wrong. When you talk to these folks, that's where your real business is going to come from. See, like the folks inside your sphere, the folks inside your database, either you engage with them or they become somebody else's lead. That's what happens again and again. We have folks say, well, you know what, my folks just don't buy and sell that much. Wrong. Your folks do buy and sell that much, but you're not keeping up with them. We're not engaging inside our database. And that has got to change. That's one of the biggest things, is that level of engagement that we have with the folks in our sphere, in our database, that kind of stuff. And that brings me to the next thing, which is a database. Like we all have databases. Some folks have our phones that we use, but you need to have a true database, and and all your relationships need to be inside here. When you do prospect and make those phone calls, that needs to be open right then. You need to open it every single day. Anytime that anybody says anything, you make those notes in there. You update it constantly. You mark it out of it, and then all your business, all your relationships go right back into it. It's what you're going to use to send out texts and emails, but the biggest thing is probably going to be property alerts that you're going to send out of it. But if you're not actively engaging in it, then like one of the biggest things about top producers is they have a database, they have a sphere. And the number one thing that we use to manage that is a database. Now, the other thing we definitely need to do is marketing, right? So when it comes to marketing, you need a target client for marketing. It doesn't mean that's the only person you're working with, but you have a target client for your marketing, right? And then at that point, once we have a target client, now we know what kind of content that we're going to be pushing out there. So you need to post onto social media every day, every stinking day, every day. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the most glamorous piece of content that you put out, but you do need to publish something every day, every single day, because what happens is volume builds brand. Please take that to heart. Also, the more you do something, the better you get at it. But if you are, I have to get better at it before I publish anything, you're never going to do nothing. So get real with it. Publish before you're ready. Start posting every stinking day, and then post often, right? But every day you need to be doing some handwritten notes. You need to send some emails out. You do need to send some text messages, and you should be sharing properties every day. How many videos are you creating a week? I think you should be creating at least 3 videos a week, preferably 5, right? Because see, what it really comes down to is going all the way back to what we were talking about, and that is your appointments. You need to have 2 to 3 appointments a day. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to have 2 or 3 buyer appointments or seller appointments. Your appointment could be meeting with a new construction neighborhood. It could be meeting with the home inspector. But in there is going to be buyer appointments, seller appointments, those kind of things. See, what you do is you set your day up where every day you're working, you're reaching out, you're engaging. That, for most of us, falls into the morning time. That's our morning routine for what we're doing to move forward. Then the rest of the day, that's when we're setting all those other kind of appointments. But every day you have to prospect. You have to get on the phone. For those who say, you know what, I don't like the phone and I don't want to use it, then get out of real estate. And I don't want to be mean about it, but that's just the bottom line. If you're not, like, real estate comes from relationships, and nobody's going to have a relationship if you don't talk to them. So this idea of I can do real estate and not talk, I can do real estate and not prospect, you can, but you can't do it and make much money. So like I said, I was just going to keep it real straightforward, and I am, right? Because if you want to make 100 grand, 200 grand in real estate, this is where it really does come from. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? So we got to be ready for that. We got to understand. And so having a business plan is really important for you. Only 3% of real estate agents have a written business plan, and folks with a business plan are much more likely to be successful. Now, let's talk about what an actual business plan looks like, because it's not rocket science. The first step of a business plan is knowing your numbers. And everyone says, know your numbers, know your numbers, know your numbers. Nobody ever actually tells you what your numbers are. So let's talk about those together really quickly. So please, at least take out a scratch piece of paper, something that you're going to work off of, that kind of stuff. So I need you to know, what is your average sale price? When the average, what's your price point? Is it 300? Is it 400? Is it 700? Doesn't matter to me, but you need to know what your average sale price is. You also need to know, what do you charge? What is your target compensation amount? There is no set compensation anywhere. For some of you, it will be this percent. For others, it'll be a different percentage. That's okay. It's like 2.6, 2.7 nationally is normally what one side tends to run. But again, everybody has that, like it may be 2.5, it could be two, it could be three. I don't really care, but know what your target compensation is. Because once you say, this is what my average sale price is, and this is what my target compensation is, then this is how much I should make every time a house sells. You need to know how much money you put down when you sell a house. Now, take off your split, that kind of stuff, because what you need to know is when I sell a house, how much money do I put in the bank? Well, or at least put in the bank before I pay taxes and do those kind of things. Because if you say, I want to make $100,000 next year, well, I need to know how much I make on one transaction so I can figure out how many transactions I need to have. And so that's going to be your next step here is how much money do you want to make next year? Right? I think you should all have at least 100 grand down. But because you don't have a ceiling on what you can do. No one tells you how much money you can make. No one tells you how successful you can be. You're the only person that tells yourself that. And if it's not at least 100 grand, then this is a hobby. And I'm not being mean about it. It just straight up is, right? So how much money do you want to make next year? Hopefully it's 100 grand, right? And so if you say I want to make $100,000 and I make $7,500 when the average home for me sells, well, then how many transactions do I have to do this year, or over the next 12 months? Because what I don't want to do is say this next year, because some of you will be like, oh, I'm going to take the rest of December off. No, you're not. 12 months from now, over the next 12 months, how much are you going to make? Right? Because that's what you need to know. And so if I say, I want to make 100,000, here we go, 100,000. Divide that by 7,500. So that means I need 14 transactions. So I need to sell, a house and a half a month kind of thing. Because if I do that, I'm going to hit my $100,000 goal. You guys with me on this so far? I hope so. I haven't really stopped to take a breath, so I'm just going to kind of slow down a little bit here. So first thing is, how much money do you want to make? Divided by how much you get what it is. And what is your transaction counts, right? Because I need you to know how many houses that you need to sell this year in order to hit your financial goals, right? All those things we were talking about, all those are going to be what you're going to be doing in order to hit these goals, because that's what you need to do this year. Think about the impact that's going to make on your family, on your life, if you hit these financial goals. It's also very easy not to make a goal, because if you don't make a goal, do you got to feel bad if you don't hit it? Right? That's the biggie. Like, if I don't have a goal, I have to worry about failing. Make a goal for yourself. It's important that you do that. All right. Now, one thing that I want you to understand deep in your soul, right, is that business for the vast majority of real estate agents comes from relationships. So over half of your buyers come from people people that know you, and people you're trying to do business with. 2/3 of your sellers come from people people that know you, and people you're trying to do business with. So that's the largest piece of our business is relationships. Hands down, above anything else, nothing else is even close. Like it's like 65% to 70% of your sellers are from relationships, or we can try and do this, which generates 3%, or this, which is 2%, or this, which is 4%. This is the lion's share for both buyers and sellers. So we have to understand that our database is the nervous system for our entire business, right? And all it takes for a database is like people that you know, people that know you, and people I want to do business with. A database is not some cold list of people from 5 years ago that if you called them right now, they go, who is this? That is not a database. That is not a relationship, right? Because see, we have this idea that a database is just this list of names. No, 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 no. Your database is people that if you call them, they're like, Hey, Al, how you doing? Not, who is this? Where'd you get this number? Why are you calling me? That is not a relationship. That is not a database, right? That's where your real business is going to come from there, not from this list of hundreds of names or thousands of names in some of your cases of people that you haven't talked to in forever. So, like, I want you to understand that that is really what we're talking about when I say a database and the central nervous system of your business. So, I want you to do a weird thing for me, and I want you to take your average sales price times 0.005, because what that's going to do is that's going to give you how much a person in your database is worth. And I mean, worth financially, right? I don't mean that they're deadbeats or anything like that. So, like, let's say that, so for a $300,000 house, if your average sale price is 300,000 times 0.005, that means that the average person in your database is worth $1,500 a year. Now, if I go, my average sale price is $400,000 times 0.005, the average person in my database is worth $2,000 a year. See, what I want you to understand is that the people I know, the people that know
Yes, I
me,
did.
and the people I'm trying to do business with, that is where your true database is. That is where the real value in real estate comes from. And that's where the folks who are making over $100,000 are getting their business from. Yes, you need leads, but leads lead to relationships. Leads don't lead directly to closings. So you should have, this is my sales price, 300,000 times 0.005 means that my average value per household is $1,500 a year. So now I need you to take a moment and I want you to think about how big your database really is. And again, when I say database, I don't mean this list of names inside a CRM that you don't know. I mean, how many people do you know you, or that you're trying to do business with right now? How many people that you could call and they would go, who's this? Right? That's what it is. Because what you got to see is that, like, if I want to make, so let's go back to the $100,000, right? So I want to make $100,000 again, $100,000, and the average person in my database is worth $1,500. Means I need 67 people in my database, 67 people that are relationships that I'm trying to do business with, that know me or that I know, right? So what you have to do is say, okay, I know that if I want to make $100,000 and my average sale price is 300,000, I need 67 people in my database that I'm engaging with on a very regular basis, right? So is your database, I mean, like, you got one of two answers, right? Either my business is too small to achieve my goals, right? I need to increase my database by, in some of our cases, 67 people, right? Or, which is generally the case for most real estate folks, is my database is big enough. I just not been focusing on the quality of my relationships, right? Relationships is really what it comes down to. The average realtor's database is between 200 and 350 people. Some folks say 300 to 500, but I find that normally that 2 to 300 is pretty realistic. And so if I say, look, you only need 67 relationships to truly make that number happen, a lot of people go, yeah, but what about Zillow leads? Yeah. This is where it comes from. It comes from people we know, people that know us, those relationships, and people we're trying to do business with. So you do want your database inside a CRM of some sort, because that's going to make your life a lot easier. And that's what we were talking about earlier. But you need to know what your database size is, and you need, and I just told you how to calculate the size that you really do need. Now, the next step that I really want to jump in with you here is that, yes, there is a place for leads. Okay. But leads, we don't go from leads to closings, right? Very rarely. Only about 3% of transactions goes from leads to closings. Now, what you see is that we go from leads to relationships to closings, right? And so for so many of us, we try and focus on those leads that are going to convert. And so we'll do a lot of lead generating and just pluck that 3% out when they're ready to buy right now. And that's okay. The challenge is if that is your entire business, and for so many of us, we've focused our entire business on leads, 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 leads. And all we're doing is trying to drive leads. And then we take that 3%. Well, now, next month, we got to go leads, 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 leads again. And then we're going to try and pluck that 3% out. And then the month after that, and then the month after that. And by the way, leads aren't cheap. Leads aren't free, right? Like you're going to be giving a lot of money off to Zillow and all these lead aggregators and that kind of stuff, or you're going to be spending money to drive leads. But where the real value comes from is I do these lead systems to add people into my database. I build relationships in my database, and those lead to transactions. See, the idea that I'm going to generate all these leads, just pluck these ones out. Well, that means you're going to be generating those kind of leads every stinking month. And it gets really, really painful and really, really expensive. But when you start looking at the cost of relationships, most of our relationship cost is really, really pretty low. Making those phone calls, sending over text messages, engaging with the folks inside your database. That's where the real value comes from, right? So yes, I do want you to identify 3 lead systems, but the goal of those lead systems has to be that I'm going to take these leads and build them into my database, right? These leads are going to come out, and it should be tied to who your target clients are, that kind of stuff. It should also be leads that you like to do. I can't tell you how often here lately I've heard, I want to work for sell by owners. I want to work for sell by owners. No, you don't. Because for sale by owners going to say mean, nasty things to you, and they're going to say things about your mama, all that kind of stuff, and they're going to hang up on you, and they're going to make you feel really bad about yourself. Why put yourself into those kind of leads? Now, some of you can handle that with no problem. Some of you have no problem. It'll just be like water down a duck's back. But for a lot of us, we don't like getting people yelling at us and being mean to us and that kind of stuff. So make sure whichever lead sources that you're using are things that you actually enjoy doing, right? So, and this is nothing magical. We have there's a ton of lead things that we can do to generate leads. But again, those are leads that potential business and leads that we're going to add into our database. And then we're going to be doing those things that we talked about earlier, reaching out and engaging. Because that's really the next step here, is that we have to have prospecting. And I know I talked about it earlier, but like as part of your business plan, one thing that I want you to identify is how many conversations are you going to have a day, right? You need to have 10 conversations a day. But how many phone calls is it going to take to have 10 conversations a day? And by the way, that's 10 conversations about real estate, right? So how many phone calls are you going to make today? How many past clients are you going to call today? How many hot leads? How many warm leads? How many, like of course we always want to call anyone that does use any of our lead systems, that kind of stuff. But you have to have that prospecting time again every day for what you're doing to reach out, right? So, like that prospecting, you're calling the people you know, you're calling the people that know you, you're calling the people that visit your website. Like that prospecting time is so vitally important. But it helps when you have a goal for what you need to do. We are really good about, yeah, I need to call. But then we don't set any goals for how many phone calls I need to make, how many conversations I need to have. Yeah, I need to have calls. And a lot of times we'll be like, well, I need to do better. I need to make more. No, you need to put down how many conversations do you need to have a day. Now, if you want to be making over 100 grand a day, then you need to be getting 10 conversations a day, right? Now, you may have to make 80 phone calls. You may only have to make 11 phone calls to have 10 conversations. It depends on the quality of the calls and the relationships that you have, right? But like again, this prospecting, this reaching out, this engaging, this talking to folks, just talking to folks is your superpower. It's what really, really plays off. And then on the marketing side, the other thing you want to look at, and the other thing you want to identify in your business plan is like, what are you doing for marketing? How many emails are you going to send? How many text messages are you going to send? How many handwritten notes are you going to put out today? How are you going to do a social media post every day? How many videos are you going to make every single week? How many property alerts are you going to send out? How many properties are you going to share? All these things are really, really important for us to put it out there. I mean, to lay it down on paper for us. We really need that uh, just to be able to put it out. See, like when you have all these things that I've been talking about, right? Here's how much money I want to make. This is what the average compensation I have. This is how many transactions I need to have this year or over the next 12 months, right? Here's my average sale price. Here's the average value of a person inside my database. My database needs to grow, or I need to build more relationships inside my database. And then this is the lead systems I'm going to use. This is my prospecting goals. Here's my marketing goals. Because when we put all that together, that is really, really powerful for us, right? I do like the idea of accountability, but not in the way that a lot of people think. And what I mean by that is like we used to do accountability in place of mastermind. And if y'all don't remember, I drove all of you away from accountability, right? If I'm like originally like a lot of y'all are like he's actually going to ask me numbers, and I get that. No one likes going that way, so we changed it. But like share your goals with a partner, with a spouse, with a coworker, with a friend. Actually truly make these goals, right? It will refocus you. I don't think that especially like I live with my partner, right? And so like she's not my necessarily accountability partner, but if I share my goals with her about what we're doing, now she understands, and especially if your spouse or partner is not in real estate, they already don't think you got a real job anyway, right? I mean, like, because if somebody's got to pick up the kids or something's got to happen, it's always us that like, well, you don't have a real job. Make sure that you're sharing these goals with them so they understand what the objective here is, what we're trying to achieve on here. You know, hang your business plan on your door, share it out with other people. That can be really, really powerful for you. So, let's see. Basically, that's it in a nutshell. I'm not trying to go super crazy here with it, and I know that I have been on the verge of being a little bit bossy, but I just like I really do care about you guys, and I want you to be amazingly successful. What I'm saying is true. And if you want to be successful, I'm going to encourage you to take this to heart. So, let's see. I got what questions do you guys have? So I'm wide open for what you got. Anybody think I'm full of it? I mean like now's the time for some just general Q&A, talking about these kind of things going on. Like I firmly believe in everything that I just said to you. So,
Hey, Alan, Linda.
hey, Linda.
Okay, so starting to try to get these cards out every day and all that. So when we're reaching out to clients we haven't talked to in a while, we just haven't kept up with them. Usually like, where do we get these scripts to so that we don't sound like a robot, you know?
Okay. Well, there's two things I recommend. One is an apology script, and every one of us needs just a great apology script, but there's nothing magical about it. With an apology script, you fall on your sword, right? It's just like, hey, it's Linda. I hadn't talked to you in forever, and you know what? I've not done a good job keeping up with you, and I'm fixing that. So how are things going? Like nobody minds that. No one ever feels bad about that. And they're, like everyone has their own little twist on it, but basically at the end of the day, an apology script is just I didn't do a good job. I didn't keep up. I meant to keep up. Life got busy. I'm trying to get back I'm trying to build my relationships back up. I enjoyed working with you. I'd like to continue our relationship, those kind of things. And nobody minds. Everyone, as a matter of fact, most people are really, really touched by that. So don't you don't have to work out a big heavy script. If you want, you can look up apology scripts, but at the end of the day, that's really all it is, hey, I didn't do a good job and I want to fix it. And no one minds. Everyone really does appreciate that. The other thing I really like to do is I like to use the Ford questions. And that's when you ask questions about family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. If you'll ask somebody those kind of questions, those are those are all things that everyone loves talking about, right? You want to get close to me? Have me talk about my kids. Have me talk about my job. Have me talk about my dreams. Like all these kind of things. Have me talk about the things I like to do when I'm not working. Asking those kind of questions can be a real powerful thing to do. The beauty of it is if you like when I say Ford questions, I mean it that way. Some people will say Ford dialogue, but what it is like God gave us some one mouth, two ears. Use it that way. And when you ask people's questions, like that's you're giving them the opportunity to carry that conversation forward. Does that make sense, Linda?
It does. It does. I just have to set a timer because my people want to have a long dialogue somehow.
Absolutely. All right, Debbie says, can you review once again how to calculate the size of your database once you know the average value? All right, so well, it comes down to the size of your database. You have to look at how much do you want to make this year, right? So if you say I want to make $100,000, and and if you say the average sale price is for my homes, is it $300,000, Debbie? Is that your average sale price? So if it's 300,000 times 0.005, that means that the average person in your database is worth $1,500 a year. So in order to figure out how much you need to make, take whatever your financial goal is and divide it by 1,500. If it's 100,000, then it's going to be 67 or so people that you'll need in your database. You with me? Thumbs up. There we go. All right. Jasmine says, what about a script to tell them helpful industry information? Well, it depends on which format that you're really talking about, Jasmine.
Oh, I was I was responding to her question
Oh,
about
okay, okay. All right,
yeah, because like for example, last month there was an opportunity for people to refi into a 3.99 if they met certain qualifications.
hmm
So I wound up reaching out to my database. So no one ever turns down important industry information. So you could be reaching out and be like, hey, I thought about you. There's this new law or there's this thing or whatever. And just being a source of information, I think people will appreciate that no matter if you talk to them in the last 3 to 4 years. You're just calling them to give them helpful insight on the
That's
industry.
awesome. You actually said like one of my favorite things to say, and that is, I was just thinking of you. Who doesn't love that, right? I was just thinking of you. By the way, if any of you guys are D.R. Horton fans, D.R. Horton and a lot of their properties right now, they're trying to push some inventory out before the end of the year. They're running 0.99 for the first year, then 1.99, then 2.99, then it's staying at 3.99 for the term of the loan. So just FYI, since that is, if you are looking for a great thing to talk out there, like that's a great talking point. Like I got a builder that's running a 0.99 special right now. Like that's a great thing to communicate what's going on. Um, let's see. Who else has some questions, thoughts, concerns? Um, Anybody have anything else?
I do have something.
Hit me.
So, okay, so Um, is there, and I think you have one. I gotta look back in references, but um, I definitely this year want to improve on my systems a lot. And so it will be helpful to have like a brainstorming piece of paper for creating the business plan, especially one that leans more into systems. When we think about, because I want to like help out my sales funnel, and
Mhm.
in order to do that, I definitely need different systems feeding in the stuff so that it's automatic. Like I know I need a system for my open houses. I know I need like there are some things that pop up repeatedly that I'm like, okay, this could be a system so that I won't have these problems. So, yeah.
We have a couple of different things that might help fit in that in there for you. I do have I have the one page business plan, which I'll be glad to share with anybody. I'm not sure that's going to be exactly what you're looking for. Let's see where I'm sure I have share on here somewhere. So, like this is a one page business plan that we were just talking about, has all your income goals, compensation, sales price, database side, and then you have the lead systems that you need along with your prospecting and marketing every day. I'm not sure that's exactly what you're looking for, Jasmine, but if you guys want this, if you'll just put your email address in chat, I'll email this to you if you want that. Anyone that does want that. I do have some others that I'm glad to share out as well. But like because you're talking about systems, Jasmine. So there's some other things that we can do on the systems side of things. So I can
Okay,
shoot you some
perfect.
emails on that too.
Yeah,
Al,
that'll be very helpful because,
Yeah.
I'm always tweaking my systems and
Hmm.
modifying my database. So it's definitely needed.
Okay. Yeah. See everyone jump in. So anyone that wants that, I'll be glad to email it to you as soon as we get off here.
Alan, it's what you
Yep.
said you have your FMLS open first thing in the morning. Tell me that routine. You're getting up, you're just going into the FMLS, pulling days on market. Tell me how that routine works when you're, because I guess the thing is, I'm trying to make sure I'm not pulling from so many sources to see where I need to make sure I'm keeping up with the market. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, well, I mean, absolutely. And so some of it is going to like a couple of different things. So like especially in FMLS, I love market stats inside FMLS. You can pull up market stats in FMLS and look at exactly what's going on with days on market, months of inventory on there, pending sales numbers, how new, percentages of new listings, those kind of things. So just your big numbers. Market stats, you can find that in the market stats market tab on there. Um, when I say know your MLS, really one of the things I mean is like start inside your subject neighborhood, start inside the neighborhood where you live, in the area where you live. Be going in and pull that area up in the map. See what's new coming on the market. See, like what are you seeing on those kind of properties? Look at what's recently sold in your area. Are they selling for above list? Or are they all selling for below list? What are the common traits of homes in this neighborhood? Do they all have granite? Do they all have open kitchens? Are these open floor plans? Are these older style ranch homes? Like that kind of market knowledge is all stuff that you can't replace with a computer, right? Knowing like pulling up and seeing, like okay, most of these homes have closing costs instilled, or most of these homes don't have closing costs. Um, these kind of things. It really come, but like when I say do that, I don't mean do it for all of FMLS. I mean, do it for your neighborhood. Do it for over here, this neighborhood where you have a client looking in. Do it for this trade area. Start expanding out. Because I mean, once you figure it out in one neighborhood, go to the next neighborhood. Keep expanding out. Keep growing. See, always I like to see, especially new listings coming on the market, total inventory coming on, like what's new and then what's out there. Because right now, like if you're paying attention to this right now, you'll see that new listings are really, really down right now. New listings are probably at the lowest level it's been all year. Now we have a lot of inventory that's been on the market for over 60 and 90 days. And that's what I mean by like when you're going in there and looking at this every day, these kind of things start to pop out, start to stand out for you. You start seeing them because you're aware of what's going on. The other thing that's going to happen is you're going to pull through and you're going to see this house and you're going to look at it, oh, that's pretty, right? Oh, what a good looking house. And then like, oh, you know what? Jane Doe was just talking about a house like this. Let me call Jane. Or you find a house and send it out to 10 of your other clients that you think that might be a that might be a good fit for kind of thing. You'll be talking to somebody in line at a grocery store and they'll be talking about, oh, well, we want this. And like, I know a house just like that because you're living inside there and because you're looking at all these kind of data points. Don't try and take the MLS in a really big picture. Break it down really, really regional to start with. Does that help?
Yes, thanks.
Sure, sure. Um, I really do pray that you will take my advice. If you do, it will change your business. One of the biggest ones is prospecting. Once somebody makes the commitment that they're going to set a schedule and that they set prospecting goals and making phone calls every day and engaging, we see a very drastic change in the trajectory of their business. When you're out there, ABC, always be closing, right? And you're calling and you're engaging and you're working inside that sphere, you don't really start worrying about leads anymore at all because that's not where the bulk of your business is going to be coming from. So, anybody have any other questions? Anything I can, myself, Ming, anything that we can do to assist you in any way, shape, or form? Sorry, I ran a little bit long. I get a little wordy sometimes. Nothing? All right. Well, I got nothing but love. If you need Ming or I or anything that we can do, call, text, smoke signals. We don't care. I'll send you out a copy of the business plans to all the emails on here. If anybody else wants one on there, plug it in there before I close, and then I will send this information to y'all in just a little bit. But nothing but love. Thanks, guys. Mwah. Y'all have a great one.